We are doing things with Overwatch 2 that would be difficult to do without the context of it being a sequel. We are reworking the PvP experience for Overwatch. We're shifting from a 6v6 team format to a 5v5 team format. It's removing one of the tanks from the lineup. We're also introducing role passives for every hero. We are reworking and modifying a lot of the heroes in the game. We're removing crowd control abilities from the game. And so we're able to keep all of that going forward, but at the same time, Overwatch 2, it does feel like something fresh and something new. And I think it's easier to do something like that in the context of a sequel. Yeah, this is a really exciting time for the team. Overwatch launched 6 years ago in 2016, and we've released updates to the game, but this October, when we release Overwatch 2, it will be the largest update we've ever released for Overwatch. There'll be new heroes, new maps, new game modes, a totally reworked PvP system. And for us to have been working on this for so long over the course of years, without really being able to show it to the public, this is a moment that the team is now being able to focus on and get really, really excited about. So to have the game out in the public and to have an actual launch date for the game is really thrilling for us. Yeah, we have a few values that we keep in mind as we develop Overwatch 2. It's one of the things that that sort of caused the shift to free-to-play is that we want to keep our community together as much as we can. And so rather than releasing another box that players would have to buy in order to opt into the experience, we'd rather open the game to as a broad of a population as possible. So Overwatch, it's a universe that welcomes everyone, and we want people to be able to play with as many of their friends as they want to. Overwatch is a game of teamwork and cooperation and strategy, and we feel like it's played best in a social setting or with your friends. And so removing that barrier to entry, the price as a barrier to entry, is hopefully a way for you to be able to play with more of your friends and have a better experience with the game. We are doing things with Overwatch 2 that would be difficult to do without the context of it being a sequel. We are reworking the PvP experience for Overwatch. We're shifting from a 6v6 team format to a 5v5 team format. It's removing one of the tanks from the lineup. We're also introducing role passives for every hero. We are reworking and modifying a lot of the heroes in the game. We're removing crowd control abilities from the game. And so I think that Overwatch has a certain magic to it when you play it. There's this mojo. It just feels great to play it. And we're able to keep all of that going forward, but at the same time, Overwatch 2, it does feel like something fresh and something new. And I think it's easier to do something like that in the context of a sequel. On top of that, this is the largest update we've ever released for the game. There are a lot of new things coming out in October. With new heroes and new maps, we have a new competitive system coming out, and there's so much more to come. So by going free to play with Overwatch, we are not just giving people a different way of interacting with the game. The development team itself is thinking about the way we create and release content in a totally new way. The amount of content it takes to run a free-to-play live service game is orders of magnitude more than what it takes to run something that you put into a box and sell it. So the whole Overwatch team, it's totally restructured and grown. It's over 3 times the size it was when we launched the original game. And it's structured in such a way that we can simultaneously work on things for the launch and the rest of this year, but next year as well. And I think this is also a shift in the way we think about releasing big pieces of the game. So rather than just developing things and holding them and then combining them to put into a box. We're now committed to releasing them when they're ready and doing that for the long term. The Overwatch team, we're still working on all of the parts, all of the PvE parts of Overwatch 2 that we've always envisioned for it. But now, rather than releasing them in a box, we're going to be releasing them as part of our seasonal cadence. I know that there's a lot here, but really this is a demarcation point for Overwatch, where the way we create and release content is different, and even the way we think about and run the game is different. So, in my opinion, this justifies putting the two after Overwatch. Going free to play is a pretty big change for a team and for a game. The last thing we want to do is put all of our resources into developing this release for October 4th and then have everybody on the team burn out, have everybody want to take a vacation. October is the start of Overwatch 2. It's the beginning of a new era for the game, and it really just marks the moment where we need to start releasing more and more content for players. And so we have to structure a team that can work on a lot of different pieces of content at the same time, a lot of different seasons, and it's not just cosmetic content, but it's heroes, it's maps, it's game modes, it's new features and systems, it's new events for the game. And so to be able to do all of that for multiple seasons all at the same time it's a pretty massive shift for us to be able to actually hit that. One of the big changes that we're making to Overwatch, and one of the big changes that the team has really embraced, is that we really want to bring players along on this journey with us. So we want to be more transparent about what we're doing, and we want to give greater detail of what our plans are for the future. We're releasing a roadmap that goes over the first few seasons specifically, but also in general, roughly the first year of what we're going to be releasing for Overwatch. We never did something like that. But also, when you have a game that is kind of your main game, you know, like this is the thing, I'm going to go home and I'm going to play Overwatch tonight. You become invested in something like that. And it's more than just what can I play right now. You start kind of looking to the future for something like that. It becomes more a part of your life. And I think that having information about where something that important to people is going is really important. So the Overwatch team is embracing that as a new value for us. Loot boxes, they've always been a part of Overwatch 1, but as the game has grown, and especially as we go into a free-to-play version of the game where we're adding more and more cosmetics, it becomes a lot harder to earn what you want with a loot box system. And so by losing those and moving over to a shop for Overwatch 2, it gives players the actual agency and the choice to go after what it is they want to have in the game. With the amount of heroes that we have in the game and the amount of content that we're developing for all of them, it can be a really exciting thing now to say like, oh, this is the hero that I like to play, and I see all of this stuff that's available to me, and then you can choose whether you want to engage with it or not. I think that going forward, that's really the place that our Battle Pass is going to take. Battle Passes typically have a track where there's progression through it, and so as you play more of the game, you'll move through the Battle Pass, and it'll kind of hit a lot of the same spots that our previous progression system did. So with Mythic skins, we've taken all of that, everything that we're doing to our legendary skins, and we're plussing it. We're taking it over the top. Our Mythic skins are customizable. You can change different like various parts of the skin and different looks for it. So for season 1, we're premiering with our Genji Mythic skin. He has different tattoos that you can swap on and off, different colors. He has different weapons that you can equip for him. And I think the coolest part about him is he's got like this really cool mask covering his face. And when you go into his ultimate, when you activate his ultimate, the mask opens up and there's all these cool VFX in there. And so it's just something that I think when players see it, they'll kind of recognize that it's a whole tier above what our legendary skins are, and I hope that they really, really love it. Right now, we're planning on having a new Mythic skin debut every season in the game. So Junker Queen is our latest hero. She's a tank, and we're going to debut her as part of the next beta. So she has some new mechanics that we don't have in Overwatch yet. I think that we're really excited for. She utilizes a mechanic called bleed. And when she does certain types of damage to characters, she receives that same amount as overhealth to her. And there's lots of different ways for her to do it. She fights with an axe, a dagger, and she uses this like electromagnetic gauntlet to control some of this. So when she throws her dagger out, she can then reactivate the ability and pull it back. And it will like pierce everybody that's in the way of it. So you can hit somebody on the way out and pull it back and do damage to them again, or sometimes you can purposefully miss and put it behind a team and then pull it back through them, hitting each one of them, applying a bleed to each one of them, and taking all of that as overhealth. Also, when she swings her axe, when she cleaves with it, she can take all of that damage and apply a bleed and get that as overhealth as well. So if she's playing right and hitting people frequently, she's able to be really tanky and kind of just stay up in front of people. And on top of that, she has a buff where she shouts and she gives basically a haste as well as over health to herself as well as all of her allies. And so she's one of these tanks that she's not long range, but when she's in the thick of things and when she's hitting people, she's really, really hard to take down. Developing content for a live service game, a free-to-play live service game, is a pretty major undertaking. I understand that there can be some doubt from the community as to whether or not the team is up to this task. We have really grown and really reorganized this team, all with the singular focus of being able to create as much content as we can and to put it out on a consistent and frequent seasonal basis. We have multiple heroes, multiple post-release heroes in development as we speak. One of them is already almost ready to go. And so I feel like for the foreseeable future, this is a cadence that we can hit. We wouldn't put something into a public-facing roadmap if we didn't have a pretty high degree of confidence that we would be able to actually hit the dates that we were promising to the public. It's really interesting to talk about the future of Overwatch when there's a bunch of other heroes in the game, and to figure out how the game will actually play when it's like that. And I think we can theory craft some of that. It's really difficult to get that right from the beginning. I think what I'm excited about and what some of the team is excited about is by introducing new heroes to the game, we are introducing change to the game. And it's a new value of ours that we don't just want this release to feel fresh. We don't just want the launch of Overwatch 2 to feel like it's something different. We kind of always want it to feel like it's growing and evolving and changing. And if you think back to the history of Overwatch as we introduced different heroes to the roster, most of the time those would all introduce either new mechanics or a new meta. There wasn't as big of a need to do all of the balance changes that it feels like the community has been calling for over the past year when we haven't had things like new heroes added to the game. And so, yes, I think that there are going to be changes, but those changes are actually a positive thing for the game, and there's something that we're looking forward to. Oh, you're asking for like deep dark secrets of Overwatch development. Yeah, so we have a pretty good idea of most of the content and features that are coming out for almost the whole first year of Overwatch 2. And I think there'll probably be more than what we have on the roadmap. Sometimes it's just hard to predict everything that you're going to be able to get in, and also everything that the game might need based off of the way players in the community reacts to it. One of the really exciting things about going free to play is just the change in the way we're thinking about releasing big pieces of the game. So we might not know what hero we're releasing 2 years from now. But we do have an idea of some of the really big things that we have been working on that will make their way into seasonal releases. And one of those is the PvE experience that we've always envisioned to be a part of Overwatch 2. Yeah, one of the like really encouraging pieces of feedback that we got from the beta was not only that the game felt fresh and different, was that there was a lot of positivity surrounding 5v5. And a lot of times when you just announce that you're doing something different, especially when it's like a fundamental change to a game, and you announce that without people being able to play it, there can be a lot of skepticism surrounding it. And you get it in a lot of different formats. So it can be something like, hey, I don't think that having one tank on the field is going to be as fun. There's support aren't going to have people peel for them, or there's going to be too much pressure on one tank. And another criticism that you could get sometimes is, hey, I have a team of 6 people that I play with all the time. How are we going to manage something like that going forward? And I think that at least on the first 2 fronts and a lot of the other gameplay concerns, it felt like most people were really positive on the gameplay changes that we were introducing. On the side where people have a group of 6 people playing, right now we don't have a great answer for it. I can't say that there is going to be a 6v6 mode for those people. There are things that we're talking about internally that we're really excited about, but I don't think that they're going to make launch. And one of those things is adding support for group sizes larger than 5, where people will be able to seamlessly spectate and then drop in and out. So you could at least have a group of friends that can all hang out and play Overwatch together, even if they're not all playing the same game at the same time. When we initially announced Overwatch 2, we presented a vision of a PvP game that had a big PvE component to it at the same time. And as we developed that game, what it meant was that the PvP side of the game was coupled, or was joined with the PvE side of the game. And so the release of any PvP content was now being gated by the amount of time it took for us to build the PvE side of the game. And as that took longer, it meant that there was less focus going into the live side of the game. And this, I feel like this went against one of the core values that the Overwatch team has always had, which is to be able to deliver content regularly for our players. And so the longer that went, I think we realized that we had to change something. And so I understand that there was a vision of what Overwatch 2 was, but we are changing that. And the reason that we are changing that is because we want to be able to get content to our players as soon as we possibly can. We think that that is the right thing to do for our community. We think it's the right thing to do for the game. It's the right thing to do for all of our players. And so that was the initial impetus of what caused us to completely change our strategy. I love the cinematics that Blizzard makes. I'm a fan of them. I've cried during every single Overwatch animated short. I don't know if it's me or if it's the movie, but it just has like this kind of powerful effect on me. Anytime we release new content to the game, we typically try to make a different cinematic for it. All of our heroes have an origin story for them. And then when we're able to, we try to highlight a lot of that with our bigger pieces, the big animated shorts that we do. Over the past few years, as we had been focusing on Overwatch 2, we release less content to the game. But now that we are moving into this new era of Overwatch where it's free to play and it will be a constant stream of new content coming out, a lot of it will be new heroes. We need new pieces to reinforce all of that. So we'll be releasing new origin stories. We have several animated shorts that we're working on that we cannot wait to share with players. And yes, I cry during all of those too. And so I think in this new model of the game, players will be able to expect more storytelling than they've had before. So in the next beta, Overwatch will debut a new PvP map. It takes place in Rio, and it's called predecessor. The map is one of our hybrid types. So it means that attackers will need to capture an objective, and then from there, they will escort a payload through the rest of the map. And there's a lot of really interesting things about the map. Just because it takes place in Rio, it has this amazing coastal scene to it. Attackers come out of the spawn room and there's this massive beach in front of them, and all of the buildings are so incredibly colorful there. And even there's this set of stairs halfway through the map, and every tile on the stairs is a different color. And so this map is it's incredibly vibrant and it's really lively, and I think it really expresses that part of the world. And the other really exciting thing about Rio is this is the home of Lucio. So the last third of the map actually takes place in Lucio's club. And you get to move through the space as you're pushing the payload through there. The defenders are actually spawning in Lucio's home. And so you get a look at where he lives, at his own personal mixing booth in there. And it's just a really cool character piece. I think anytime we're able to tie a map and a hero together to kind of provide more context to our world, it's when we're doing the best version of our world building. And then predecessor also, it has a lot of really cool moments in it. There's high ground all around the first point, and each team has a different way to access it. So defense can kind of access high ground from their side of the point, and offense has a few ways of accessing it from their side. And so there's a lot of use for highly mobile characters on this map. And then as you move through and get towards the end, the high ground actually continues. And so there's, as you travel through this sort of more quaint village section of Rio, there's different rooftops that you can get to. There's different levels of Lucio's club that you can get to. And I think that it's a really fun map that really highlights a lot of our heroes' movement abilities, as well as a lot of the sort of long-range sightlines that we have, while still providing all these tight little flanking routes for heroes like Reaper and I was going to say Junker Queen, and Junker Queen to excel on. There's a lot of new content coming to Overwatch, and we're going to be releasing all of it on a seasonal basis. And our seasons are going to run roughly 9 weeks. Roughly every other season, if not a little bit more, we'll be adding a new hero to the game. And on our other seasons, we're adding things like new maps, new game modes, and as well as events. Actually, I think events we're hoping to have in as many seasons as we possibly can, just because they're a really fun moment for players to just kind of explore different parts of the game. I don't want to speak to people and tell them how they ought to feel, or how they ought to react to things just in society in general. I can say that the Overwatch team really loves our game. And we pour every day creative energy and passion into this game. And we just hope that players can see that when they play it and that it resonates with them. We always say that Overwatch is a future worth fighting for. or that the world could use more heroes. And as much as we can, we try to instill those values in our own team, this bright, aspirational future. But at the same time, I can't say that that is everything that our team culture is. It is not appropriate for me to speak to everybody else on the team and what their experience is. All I can say is that as a leader on the team and as someone that works with a lot of the other leaders on our team, that we do try to instill these values across the team. It is something incredibly important to us as a development team to listen to and to create space, not just for our teammates and our coworkers, but for our community and for our players.